In some areas, we've seen it get better. I know it doesn't really affect you immediately, but if you go to the has anybody been to any of the industrial parks? Hawassa? You've been to how many people? Can I see a show of hand? 1, 2, 3. It's like a country into itself. It's like some foreign country. It operates a world-class level. Seriously. You produce, you export, you deliver to New York. Everything is efficient. That's what is going to be replicated throughout the Ethiopian economy in the future, because we're learning from these places. So I'm optimistic. It might take a little bit of time, but especially now, as you see, a lot of young people are in government positions, a lot of people who are very eager to make things happen, and I think some of the challenges that you face probably will go by the wayside 6 months, a year from. We're already seeing a lot of changes from a policy perspective. We've seen some big policy announcements like privatizations. How many here think Ethio Telecom is the best telecom in the world? Please, can we give them applause? But it's going to be privatized, right? You've heard partial privatization, because there's an acknowledgement that companies like that, or the backbones of the transformation of the Ethiopian economy, need international support. The power company, the same thing. The logistics, those of you who are in the logistics business, right? You have containers held up for 2 months, stuff that you don't want to use on shipping lines. The government said, you know what, from now on, you can use whatever you want. And in fact, you can bring in international. So we're going to see a lot of improvements over the next year or two. Okay? But I do agree at the moment there are hiccups, some big, some small. But I'm very optimistic, but especially since I've seen tremendous changes over the last 20 years. I think what we're facing now might actually seem a little less than what we thought 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when we were running our practice, they used to publish the number of days power will be cut. It was 5 days a week. So we have to find where to take our laptops, who has a photocopier machine in Addis, okay? And we took all our reports to find a place to copy. That was, some days it was 6 days a week. Wow. Yeah. That doesn't happen, that much anymore. I mean, there's still power cuts, but so, we got to put things in perspective as well. Things have improved. You're aware that Ethiopia is the fastest growing economy in Africa this year. It was like that last year. It was like that the year before. In fact, the year before, it was the fastest growing economy in the world. So we do have to acknowledge some of the good things that have happened, but we also have to acknowledge the challenges that we face.
Yeah. That's really helpful to hear and encouraging. And we're here because we believe in the growth. We're here because we want to play our part in the growth. And so those things aren't going to chase us away, even if they take time. But it would be appreciated if they would happen faster, obviously. We're going to open up the floor for questions. So if you have a question, just show me your hand and we'll ask that.
So you obviously follow Africa's economic progress or lack of it. And one of the words that keeps coming up is the curse of natural resources in Africa, in particular oil, right? I think that's a very appropriate question. My first reaction to your question is, let's just first discover the oil. Okay? Let's see how much it is. And then we can worry about if it's going to be a curse or a blessing. But what we do have in 2 years, I think very good news, is we're going to start exporting gas. Right? So you should be aware of that. So we're going to be a gas exporting country. The pipeline is being built via Djibouti. It's from Kalub gas, Kalub and Hilala, the two big gas fields. Actually, and this is other good progress that is being made. Those were discovered in the 1970s, but nothing happened. So now, well, I guess we should thank the Chinese. A lot of things here involves the Chinese. So the Chinese are going to be they're building the gas pipeline, and they're going to export it. So that's fine. But oil is the next step. Now, if we get it, would it make a difference to the Ethiopian economy? It depends. It depends how much is discovered. Okay? So we don't know yet. My view is it will be icing on the cake, because our transformation is not going to be on the back of oil and gas. So what is our model for transformation? South Korea. I was in South Korea about 6 months ago, in June. South Korea does not produce a single barrel of oil. South Korea does not pump anything out of the ground. What kind of TV do we all have in our house? Samsung. What do we drive? Hyundai. How did they get to be the 11th richest country in a span of 50 years without a drop of oil? They banked on people like you, talented South Koreans. That's how we should think about it. If oil comes, hallelujah, right? Or something more than that. But consider it as a blessing, an icing on the cake, but not going to divert, in my view, the trajectory that Ethiopia is on. An export-led manufacturing powerhouse. That's what Ethiopia is going to be. Or at least that's the plan. So, yeah, I agree with you. There are a lot of sad cases in Africa, Nigeria being the prime example. It produces more oil per day on a good day than the UAE. But the average Nigerian is as poor as they were 50 years ago. Yeah, wow. Angola, the same thing. A lot of you. So I hear what you're saying. We need to be careful. But if we get it, hallelujah. Okay?
Great. Good question. Let's go here.
Okay, hi. I'm a very big fan of you first, and I was really, really happy to actually see my picture on that flyer with you. It was really great. Every time you talk, or on your interviews or any stage, I feel like I am talking to Ethiopia. Literally, I feel like Ethiopia is sitting over there and talking. That's what I feel. So. It would be great if you can share us how you got to this stage, one. And second question, how do you balance your life? Because it's not easy to manage the business life, the personal life, the family, the friends. And how do you balance your life?
First of all, I didn't pay her to say that. Okay, we just met today, right? So please, huh? So how do I balance? Let me answer the back end of the question first. How do I balance my life? First of all, I owe all my success, without exaggeration, to the person I mentioned in the beginning, to my late wife. Okay? If it wasn't for her, first of all, I wouldn't be here, at least not 20 years ago. I probably would have come maybe in the last 5 years, 6 years when things started looking obvious. So I owe a lot of my success to her, because she was my partner. She guided me. She was born and raised here, never left Ethiopia. She always told me what I think I should do, how I should act, even the things that I say on television, especially in Amharic. Hey, በእኛ ሀገር አይባልም ተው እንጂ እንደዚህ explicit መሆን አይቻልም በአማርኛ, you know. So she guided me. So it's good to have a good partner. Could be a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever. It helps to have a good partner. Somebody who's always after your best interest, without any doubt. I think, at least in my case. So it worked well. How do I balance it? So I travel 80% of the time. For the last 25 years, I'm on the road. A slow month would be 70%. Okay? Whether I'm in DC or in Brazil or in Ethiopia. So you have to find a way to compartmentalize. That's why I say a good partner, especially if you have kids. I think a lot of you are very young. You're at that childbearing age or raising that age. So you need to find the right balance. So if you have a good partner, that needs to be factored in. Okay? Now, how did I succeed? You're making an assumption that I've succeeded. Right. So assuming I did, I've always been very focused. Very determined. When I lived in America, I had to be like an American to succeed in very hard-charging corporate environments. I mean, that helps. So I used to say, and I had a very large family in the U.S., like a lot of people, especially in D.C. So from Mondays to Saturdays, I was like a kick-ass American. Focused, determined, I have to deliver. Sundays, I decompressed at my mom's house. I was an Abasha. Okay? The kitfo, the injera, whatever. And I acted like an Ethiopian kid. So having that balance helped. Okay? But focus, determination, and optimism. Because not always things work well, both in the personal life. I mean, like this year, I had, the worst year in my personal life, but I had to overcome that somehow. But stay optimistic. I think that would be one of the things. I would avoid naysayers. I'm not suggesting I don't want to listen to people who have negative views or different views, but if I'm really convinced and determined, I'll move on. I'll respect the views, but I'll move on. So I won't let that discourage me. I tell you, here, I've been here 20 years, and we've seen a lot of ups and downs. As I told you, that here we came, the Eritrea War. 3 years later, 2.5 years later, there was a split within the APRDF. Within the TPLF, actually. So, and we were not sure how that was going to turn out as investors. But we said, okay, we're learning how does this work out. And we got over that, and we managed. And then 3.5 years later, the 2005 election. Okay, some of you, if you remember. Again, for investors, uncertainty is not a good thing. It unsettles you, right? So you have to overcome, you have to have a risk management strategy and all that. So this is at least how I've hopefully gotten here, but you do need a good partner, okay? I mean, that's a key, both in business and in your personal life, okay?
Thank you so much for your openness, Zemedeneh. That's really encouraging.